And we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the ToolBelt, episode 246. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned, and we will be back after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer. It says I can share this with people. How do I do that? TC Backer, TC Backer. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll do that.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
TC Backer, TC Backer.
Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. Going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come.
Love that. Great job, Vic. That was so cool. That was so cool. Yeah. So, by the way, everybody, we will be in Kansas City, Vic and myself, and I might as well throw this out there. We won't make it back in time for our normal Wednesday edition of Beyond the Tool Belt. So we will be hosting it live from Kansas City Chiefs Stadium, 7 a.m. Is that Central Time out there? It'll be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday morning. That Tuesday morning, which I think is the 30th or 31st. Actually, no, that's to be October 1st. So anyhow, here we are. Welcome back, everybody. I have another fantastic guest here. Dan Walrack, my man. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. I'm doing well. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. You too, man. We got a couple minutes to chat before this, and it's great. It's great. Thank you so much for carving out some time today to come on the show. I know you're busy as hell. You're probably one of the busiest people in the roofing industry, as we know it. Rolling. That's how you do it, man. Just getting started, right?
Yep.
Just
it's
getting
like a roller
started.
coaster, man. You just keep it going, right?
That's it. That's right. Whatever it takes, man. And I love your, go beyond the hustle. I don't know exactly in terms of what that might mean to you. But I would like to hear, what does that mean? I'm sure at different times it might mean something different to you, but you know, you're known for, you know, the $18.5 million man, right? You know, you're the bionic $18.5 million man.
You're rolling, man.
Yep. You're creating go beyond the hustle and all this great stuff. And your wonderful wife, Tiffany, who I've just now haven't been formally introduced to, but have noticed that she's making more of an appearance and
Yeah, you
coming
gotta
out.
get her on here. She's a really good speaker.
No doubt, man. I'd love to. Both of you guys are more than welcome to come on. Maybe if not before RoofCon, we can get you both on at RoofCon and hear more about, you know,
We'd
that
love to
back
do it.
that, you know, the backstory of the you know, the dynamic duo, because I can relate. It's kind of giving me goosebumps right now because of Jana, who my better half has always been my rock, my partner, and it was her and I that pretty much started, you know, this whole thing. And the work that goes in behind the scenes of stuff that people don't even realize. And you know,
I would not be where I'm at right now without her, man.
no doubt.
People don't realize that stuff, that, you know, to get that at 18.5 to 595 jobs in a year, there's no way you can do that by yourself. You need to have that person that's next to you. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about at RoofCon in a breakout, is how to incorporate that significant other to get to that elite level. You know what I mean? Because you can't do it by yourself.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Pen us in at the RoofCon. We'll come over and do a podcast with you, and we'll talk about that, because there's so many different things you can talk about that, you know, the elephant in the room, right? That people sit there and don't want to talk about. People don't want to bring their work home. They don't want to let their wife know what's going on, or their husbands know what's going on in the job. They think it's better for them to keep that stress away, where in reality is, by bringing it back, you're showing and you're sharing that with them, to have them a part of your success as part of your career. And that's what I'm touching on. A lot of people that, you know, when I go and speak to different places, I try to explain to people that you don't treat this job as a job. You treat this job as your career, and the money will follow it. You know what I mean? But you have to put the time and effort in and get the knowledge and educate yourself, where you learn this as a career. You know, if you think you're going to work 8 to 5 or do this as a job every single day, and hey, this is my job, well, you got the wrong mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So
no, I love that. And you're right. It is a career. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta love it. It's a lifestyle. And you know, your significant other plays a huge part in that. You know, if there's issues at home because of the amount of hours that you work, you know, there's going to create a hindrance there, or stress, you know, at work and at home. And you know, having the right, you know, mindset, and the family knowing what they signed up for, right? Like, this is what we do. This is why we have the pretty things. But I think too, you know, we need to talk a little bit about like the intentionality, that time that we do carve out to not talk about work, you know. But it is very important, like you touched on, is to talk about where you're at. You know what I mean, at home, and having them being a part of it too. Like my kids, my family, my entire family has been a part of the growth of,
for sure,
of our roofing company. I mean, they've all played a major part in this. And you know, it has also kept me in check too on how I handle certain situations too. If I'm coming home at a complete freaking basket case and a mess, well, how do you think they're going to deal with the stresses at school, the stresses at the supermarket, the stresses at work, and things like that? So that's one thing I've learned over the years, and I've gotten better about it. You know, my oldest son, Jacob, you know, I may not have done as well with him because I was young when I had Jacob, and I didn't deal with things very well. But Mackenzie and Rocket have really gotten the good part of me as I started to be able to mature over the years, and I realized the impact that I had on Jacob's life. Now, don't get me wrong, he's one of the hardest working people. He picked up the good and the bad for me, I guess. You know, and just like I did with my parents, right? I've picked up the good and the bad, but now that I'm older, I've been able to capitalize on both of the best of both worlds, right? You know, and I even say to myself sometimes, is this an Ann Backer moment, or is this a Bob Backer moment? And my dad usually tended to run things with an iron fist, and my mom was like the smoother over, right? Like she would be able to smooth things over. And it's sometimes you got to wear both fists, put on both gloves. And and deal with things a little sterner at times, or I just need to get my ass out of bed and go do stuff. And that was my dad. My dad was a hard driving, old school, get shit done, get out of the way, I'll do it myself kind of guy. And then my mom was more of the praiser, the encourager, the inspirer, the smooth things out. After my dad made a mess, my mom would have to go in and kind of smooth things out. And I've learned from my parents, and and I try to be real aware and real conscious of how my behavior is at home. I'm a problem solver. We deal with things, and Vic and I were just talking about something earlier. It was about instead of like, why is this happening to me, it's more along the lines of, why is this happening for us?
Sure.
Like, why are we going through this experience right now, and what are the benefits that we're going to learn from it? I read a small short story this morning, and it was about this kid who ordered this book. It was for 25 cents. It was a book on photography, and I can't remember the guy's name, and he's a famous old school. It's probably back in the 1900s, because the book was only 25 cents. But when the book arrived, it was on, what's those puppets? The guys that sit the puppets on their hands and they ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a book on ventriloquism, and instead of the kid being like, what the hell is this? He learned to become a ventriloquist. And so when he was dealt lemons, he made lemonade, out of, I got this book. So he became like this world renowned. I wish I could remember the guy's name. This world renowned ventriloquist, like famous for impacting children and just endless stories about this guy on how he became this famous ventriloquist. But I guess awareness is half the battle. Self-awareness is half the battle. How am I treating my significant other when I get home, and my children? What is my behavior like? Am I acting stressed all the time, where they're walking on eggshells and stuff like that? Because I've done that. I've been that dad. I've been that dad. When daddy gets home, he sets the tone kind of thing. And so how do you deal with that? How do you not become that dude where everybody in the household is not walking on eggshells? How do you get home and still be that inspirational and that have that bandwidth to get on the floor and crawl around on the floor with your kids or grandkids?
Well, I think that's part of the challenge you have, is trying to have that personal life, work-life balance, right? That's the $1 million question in this business, where, you can make a lot of money in this business, but shoot, we've all been there. 23 years ago, I almost was divorced 5 different times because I'm trying to bring that home, where I've got a whole separate life at home that I have to deal with. But you have to have that balance, right? And, truth be told, is there really a balance? That's the hard part, right? Because if you treat this job really as a career, that balance is very, very limited. Mm-hmm. That's why you need that significant other to understand and be on your side, and understand, hey, this is what we do. This is my job. This is my career, but not only mine, it's our family's career. We're going to make a lot of money, yes, but we're going to have to do some sacrificing to make that money. Mm-hmm. And as long as you get your significant other and your family to understand that, and to basically get on that boat with you and grab some oars, I mean, it's a fabulous, fabulous career. I mean, where else are we making doctor, lawyer money? And a lot of people don't even have college educations and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you have to get everybody in the family on board. And that's, I've talked about this a couple of times, but that's, people ask, how did you do $18.5 million in a year? Right. Well, that day that storm hit, that night, I sat down in our living room, and I'll never forget. And I had my 4 boys, my wife sitting right there. And I said, listen, this is going to be a crazy year, but we're going to make a lot of sacrifices, but you have to tell me, are you guys on board or not? Mm-hmm. Because if you're not on board, we're not going to go, tunnel vision straight into it. Right. But if you are on board, this winter is going to be a really good winter. We're going to do a nice, beautiful vacation, blah, blah, blah. But you guys have to understand there's going to be some sacrifices too. Like, Dad's not going to be there for 4th of July. Dad's not going to be there for different things, because I've got things I've got to do. Mm-hmm. And they all sat there and they said, Dad, we understand. You've been doing this for 20 plus years. This is your job. This is your career. We're all in. Whatever you need to do for help, we're helping you. They helped me, fill out Watch Us Works. They stuffed folders for me. My wife, Tiffany, she did, made callbacks on phones. I mean, anywhere where they could help, they packed me lunches, brought them out to the work. I mean, anywhere where they could help me out through the process where they could do it. So it wasn't just a Dan, you did 18.5 million. It was my family did 18.5 million because they were all behind me. They were every step of the way. And it made my job, because you guys have done this long enough where you're doing 15, 20 appointments a day, you get burnt out. But as long as you got your family behind you and everybody's pushing you forward, you just look at the end, and you just do it. And so, I can't thank them enough, and it helped out. So,
yeah, thank God. And that's what I call work-life blend, right? I don't, like you said, I don't know if you'll ever really find that balance, but it sounds like the time that you spent with your family was intentional time. Like they were there with you. It wasn't like you were always not home.
exactly.
When you were home, you had to get stuff done, but you allowed them to participate in that and be a part of that and actually help propel you forward so you could, and inspire you and push you. It's like, I can't let my family down right now. Like now they're involved, like there's too much at stake here. And it's like, that's whether you know it or not, subconsciously, like that's what's driving you.
Exactly.
At least for me, you know
it
what
drove
I mean?
you through the burnout period.
Yeah.
We all know this. There's a burnt out. Everyone gets burnt out in this job every year. There's usually, for me, it's the first week of September. Because that first week of September, I just want to be done. I don't want to do anything more. It's just But then you get that second drive where you're like, hey, it's fourth for us up here. We get a lot of snow, so it's, hey, here comes fourth quarter. Now you got to push for the spring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got to fight through that. Well, with your family behind you every step of the way and pushing you and driving you. I didn't have a burnt out. It went straight through all the way through, and it was good. It was good.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely freaking amazing, man. Okay. So the work-life balance, I don't want you to pour out so much. We want people to show up to RoofCon and listen to you and Tiffany.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot to talk about there. So
yeah,
we're actually going to do a class too on that. So
okay, good. I might have to carve out some time and go out and check that out because I'm still working on this. You know what I mean? And I need to hear from all perspectives. Yeah. Of that work-life balance, that work-life blend, you know what I mean? And I've been very fortunate too, just like you have. My family's been all about it. Like, and sometimes we schedule our vacations around, things where dad's got to go to work during the day, but the kids are at the beach doing their thing. And then wife, everybody's doing, and then I come back and then we go out to dinner, and at least it's kind of like a workcation, kind of thing, right. is what we've been trying to be super intentional about. Like if I travel, I brought Rocket to Win the Storm last year. My youngest, I brought him to Win the Storm, dude, and he loved it. He was in it. He was helping bringing in the cases and setting up and pulling wires, and got to watch dad do interviews with people and got educated on how, the behind the scenes, the camera settings, the audio, the video and stuff like that. And I noticed he started to take a liking to that stuff. So Vic gave him one of our cameras. He came to work for us part-time during this summer. And he was going out and getting content on job sites and stuff like that. Nice. And it's like, I just planted that seed, but he enjoyed it. And now he also gets to see this side of it, not just the dad side when I'm at home. He got to see dad when dad was at work here at the office, and got to commingle with, other coworkers and stuff like that, and the importance of like what it is that he's doing for us, and whatever the importance of what everybody else is doing. So I love this topic. I could talk about it for hours, because it's definitely something I've tried to figure out over the years. And God knows that Jana has been through the ringer with me from the shit. I even lost my license years ago, and she used to have to drive me to all those appointments that you're talking about. Right. And this was back in the days where Garmin just came out with a GPS that, you know what I mean? We didn't have Apple Maps and stuff like that. We had
King's Road Atlas, man. That's what I first started with.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So you can only imagine how those conversations were when she drove past the driveway. Yeah. And I'm trying to still drive from the passenger seat over there. So, but no, it's good. It's a great topic.
It is. It's one that hasn't been touched on out there, and that's why we're doing a class. It's I want to say on the 25th of September. I want to say something like that, where it's going to be at 8:00 at night, and we've got a few couples. It's only going to be like 10 or 15 couples going to be on there, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how we get better at it. Because, be honest with you, Tiffany and I, we're still learning. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know Jim Johnson, Michelle's going to be on there, and a few other people. So, it's just a matter of touching on that subject. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't like to. A lot of people want to keep that in the back. Hey, our home life is great. Everything's perfect. We're peaches and cream, right? Well, reality is a lot of our isn't peaches and cream, right? it's a tough situation, and we got to battle through that together. So
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Nope, I agree. So let's talk about the go beyond the hustle. Like
perfect.
what is it? Where did it come from? And how did you come up with it?
Well, actually, reality is my wife actually came up with it. Tiffany came up with it because it all originated back at a door-to-door conference, and we were sitting in the crowd, myself and Mike Goldenstein. I'm sure you know Mike, and we were sitting in the crowd, and we were just chilling out, and they had a couple people up on a panel answering questions. These are supposed to be like sales gurus, right? Anybody in the audience ask questions, they can answer your questions. Well, a couple people raised their hand up and asked a couple questions, and these people up on the front had no idea how to answer these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so it happened 2 or 3 times until finally I raised my hand and I answered one of the person's questions, and then not thinking anything of it. I'm sitting next to Mike, just shooting the, whatever. And after they're done, they say, hey, if you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to stop by and ask questions up the front. Well, the panel was over. We were getting up ready to leave. Next thing I know, I had a line of 15, 20 people in front of me asking me questions. And Mike's like, man, you really need to go out and help some people because you know the knowledge. You can educate these people, and you've been through it for 25 years. They want to talk to somebody that's been through the trenches, right? Mm-hmm. And that's still in the trenches. So I'm like, all right. So I'm answering all their questions. Next thing I know, I do a podcast. Next thing I know, it's Go Beyond the Hustle starts because, I love Deshaun. I think Deshaun is the best door knocker in the world, right? Mm-hmm. But Deshaun focuses on the hustle, and he's fabulous at it. I mean, he's all about the hustle, right? Well, I've come to the realization that if you've done this long enough and you've built your network and you've built your relationships and you've planted those seeds, there's a point after the hustle. And that's where Beyond the Hustle comes in, because those guys that are out there knocking door, we've all had to go through the blood, sweat, and tears. We've all had to go out there and pound doors for 7-8 hours a day and go through that. But to do that elite level, there's a whole nother avenue that you can take going beyond the hustle. And that's something that we talk about in the classes that now we're doing. It took a while to bring it out, but I've been getting so many different people saying, hey, you need to help. And so this year I finally was like, you know what? Why not? Right. So a couple times a month, I jump on a Wednesday and at 9:00 and on gobeyondthehustle.com. And I sit there and answer sales questions the first Wednesday and insurance questions the last Wednesday. And people would basically what they're doing is the sales reps are throwing out their questions, and I'm answering their questions online so everybody can hear. I limit the class to 25 so it can be kind of a group participation. We can answer questions and anything that they have, objections, issues at the door, how to get past estimate, everything insurance wise. And so what I started doing now is because, you know how it is. You get out there and you put your name out there and people want to follow you, right? Well, I've got people that follow me, and I've helped out, John Cenac and Deshaun and people like that. And they want to give back too. And so this is a platform where I'm using to help those new reps that can't afford, $2,000 tickets for this or $3,000. It's $50. They jump on, they answer the questions, they listen to, different guest people I have on there, ask them questions one-on-one, and it's a platform to use. And I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people out. That's why I do this. I love this business. I really do. I'm still out in the trenches. I've got an adjuster appointment as soon as we're done today. And, I'm here to help people out. That's where Go Beyond the Hustle originated. So
I love that. I love the fact that you're giving back to the community that's been so good to you. Right. Yeah. And that's what this is all about. And you're including other great people in our industry to your stage to, spread the knowledge that they've learned over the years. And when I think of, go behind the hustle, I think of the stuff that people don't see, right? Yeah. Like the work that happens behind the scenes, just like the platform that you're providing for people, like this continuous education, the work that goes into being great at what you do. What makes me think of it, it makes me think of a boxer, right? Like a boxer doesn't become a champion in the ring, right? That, and when you ask somebody like, where do you think a boxer becomes a champion? And everybody's usually first response is in the ring. And that's not the case. It's actually in the training room. It's, it's him in there, putting in the reps. He's putting in the hard work. He's mastering his craft.
Yep.
And that's when I think of, and when I look at you and the stories that I've heard about you, that's what makes me think of like going beyond the hustle, right? Like, what reps am I putting in? What am I doing to better myself, the quality of my life, the quality of the craft that I'm trying to hone in to better my family's life. And now you're at that stage in your life where you're trying to better other contractors and their lives, or sales reps.
Yeah.
And so they can put in the reps, right? Like, this is how you do it. You get on this platform with you pay $50, which is nothing, compared to, like you said, a $2,000 VIP pass to get into wherever, or have John
You're
Cena
flying somewhere, you're doing all that, and you don't get that one-on-one.
Right. And then I also liked how you mentioned too, and this was something, it's funny that you brought up like networking and relationships and partnerships and stuff like that, because my breakout is actually called Brick by Brick, building bridges for growth and opportunities, because I don't think enough of us talk about, the network and the referrals and things, by building and galvanizing those relationships over time. After doing $18.5 million, you created, the 25 years. Let's go back a little bit. Over 25 years, you've created, now I'm sure half of that business was through referrals, was through partnerships, because people do business with, people do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust, obviously. And there's different layers of trust. They can know you and they could like you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they trust you enough to do business with you. But obviously you've done something right, because that's insane, the amount of numbers that you've pulled out with that one storm. And of course, we know that, you had a great team behind you, but you were the guy with the network. You were the guy with the partnerships. You were the guy that put in the 25 years of relationship building in order to set the stage for you today, yesterday or last year, when that storm came through. It might have been 2 years now, when that last storm hit for you.
22, and I did 18 and a half, and then 23 basically follow up to clean up. I did almost 7.5, 8. So
wow, that's amazing. You know what I mean?
2 years, it was 25, over 25 in 2 years, or just residential.
Wow, that says something in itself right there in residential too. Because that's a lot of homeowners that that you've provided safety and security for as well. And that's the way that I look at it. Roofing isn't, we put roofs on, but we're not just providing roofs. You're providing safety and security and peace of mind for 500 and how many people's lives?
595 in 22, 263 in 23.
Man, that is just so amazing. I mean, that's I can't even fathom that. I'll be quite honest with you. I can't get any.
Well, it is kind of funny, because people are asking me, how did you do it? Because in our company, I'm the only 1099 left. They're all W-2s now. And so I basically have to do from A to Z. I meet the homeowner, I do the inspection, I sign the homeowner up, I do the color appointment, I turn the order in. Once I turn the order in, it goes to production. Production will build it, but then I'm in charge. They send out the invoice, but I have to collect it, and then we cap it, right? So I do basically everything. And they're like, well, how did you find time? I said, it's kind of funny, because I show my calendar to different people, and I said, look, I was doing color appointments at homeowners' houses at 4:00 in the morning. I was just telling homeowners, listen, we got to do a color appointment. This is the time I have open. I understand it's early in the morning. I'll bring some donuts. I said, let's get a color meeting. Let's get it set up. And people are just flabbergasted. And I said, listen, if you've planted your seed right, and if you built those relationships right, they're not going anywhere else. They know you, like you said, they know you're the roofing guy. You're the one touching their roof.
Yeah. So. That right there, that's going beyond the hustle, homie. 4 a.m. bringing coffee and donuts. Like, that's absolutely
colors when it's dark out in the morning.
Yeah, man. I can't, I can't even wrap my head around that. So, with what you're doing and your niche, you're focusing on sales reps. Okay.
Yep.
Deshaun does a great job. He did a great job of self-branding, bringing awareness to himself. What did you find? Because I'm assuming, and I have no doubt in my mind, that at least 50 of those appointments that were set were probably referrals or return clients. Am I
on that? I would
well
say
over that.
I would say, well, your referrals are the ones you sign up. Like there's instances where they'd give me a call, and my wife would help me set up. Tiffany would help me set up block signing appointments. So I'd go and do full cul-de-sacs, 6 of them at a time. and 7 of them at a time, where I'd only have to speak one time, and then I do the inspections on all 7 and sign them all up right there at the time. I
Love
mean,
that.
there was so many, and like I'm the commissioner of our youth football program in town. So, you know, this is what I was going to get into a little bit today too about, you know, I get that question asked me all the time. What's the one thing I'd tell a brand new rep just starting off that, and, you know, it's something that you have to think a little bit, but after thinking for a while, I would say the number one thing is investing in yourself, you know, because, and I'm not always talking about monetary also. I'm talking about education and time. You know, think of what other people are not doing, right? I mean, just yesterday we put up a scoreboard, right? Because they need a scoreboard. We sponsored a scoreboard, and now we negotiate out a deal for the life of that scoreboard. We have our brand right on top of that scoreboard for 300 youth parents to see every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, every night for the entire summer, right? It's just little things like that, you know. Or we sponsor their jerseys, right, and have Built Strong exteriors on the back of their jerseys, right, for the company I'm working with. And every single night, every parent's going to see that. So when they think of Dan Walrack, they know, hey, he's the roofer. He's the guy that we need to call if we need a roof done. He's the guy we need to call if we need siding done. They're not opening up a phone book. Nobody does anymore, but they're not Googling it or anything like that. They know this is the guy we talk to. So, and I've been planting that seed forever. And it just by chance, I mean, it was great as an anomaly, right? Where, you know, my hometown gets hit with a hailstorm, pretty good sized hailstorm. My phone, like, it was funny because I said 37 seconds after that storm hit, my phone didn't stop ringing for probably 3 months. I mean, I had 40 voicemails on my phone continuously, and that's why I needed somebody to help me answering phone calls. And Tiffany was fabulous at that. And because you didn't have enough time in the day to answer these people back, and you want to keep your communication up, and you want to do right to these homeowners and let them know, hey, I'm here to help you. Just have a little bit of patience, and we'll get you taken care of. So, and the community was fabulous. My wife was fabulous. Family was fabulous. Everything, you know, lined up perfectly, and got them all taken care of.
Let's dig a little deeper into that. You know, you said your phone was ringing for 3 solid months after that. How, like, you touched on a couple branding points where you got the scoreboard, you're sponsoring jerseys and stuff like that. But how did you build that reputation of that know, that like, that trust? Like, what does that take? Right? Like, obviously just running around knocking doors and signing deals doesn't make the phone ring the next time the storm happens. Like, give us, like, what does it actually take for your phone to ring for 3 solid months? Like, what did you have to do?
I think it's the communication you have with homeowners. I think it's the honesty, you know, and I've been doing jobs in Hudson here for a while, right? And you take care of those homeowners, and I pride myself, and I still to this day, no matter how much money I make in a year, I still pride myself on that. No job is too small. You know, there's a lot of companies out there that they won't touch a downspout job if people need 3 downspouts on their house for a couple $100, $300. To me personally, no job is too small, because it's kind of a funny thing is, you know, 4, 5, 6 years ago, I did a job for a lady that needed 3 downspouts on her house. And that's why I bring up that analogy. And she had 3 different companies come out there. Nobody wanted to touch it. I go out there, I go put on white downspouts. Our minimum was $250, so it's $250. White downspouts and extensions, not thinking anything of it. And then all of a sudden, a year later, a hailstorm hits in an area. I get a phone call back from that lady. Well, she's one of the chief financial officer at a large complex that was $1.2 million job that I did. Why? Because I asked her that exact question. I said, why did you choose me? I mean, you could have had plenty of different roofing contractors. She goes, because you were the only one that were true to your word and came out and handled my issue on my own house. And I knew you'd take care of me here. And it's just those little things. So if that's something I can tell anybody listening here, man, no job is too small. Take care of those people, you know, do maintenance agreements, take care of people, you know, show that, hey, you're willing to listen, you're willing to help, and you're willing to get it taken care of. And planting my seed in my own community. You know, I was on the parent board. I did security for our booster days, and the money that they paid for security for that, I took that money and I took it down to the police force, and I supplied life vests for the K9 unit. So they'd have that. So you build those, you plant those seeds, and you're not just doing it to do their roofs. You're planting those seeds because they understand and know who you are. And so the entire police force knew, hey, Dan, he's the roofing guy in town. He's taking care of our police force in town. The officers all had life vests, but the canine unit didn't. So we took that money and we applied it toward that and put it for a good use. And, I'm on the parent board for the middle school. I was on that for a few years. And, you have access to 1,500 emails. Well, guess what they got as soon as the storm hit, right? So, there's just different ways you can go out and brand yourself and market and network yourself and plant your seed without, you don't want to go after these people and be, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to push. I'm not pushy.
Yeah.
But you know what you do. Be
Yeah.
proud of what you do. This is what we do. A lot of people are scared to tell people, hey, I'm a roofer, man. This is what I do.
Yeah. You don't want to be a hard closer on things like that. And it's just be a good human being. It sounds like that's really all you did was you're a good human being.
What we got here? Read that.
Be a good human. There you go. And I swear to God, I didn't see that earlier, but I just,
Tiffany's got a bunch of great sayings. And this was the first one that came out. Just be a good human.
Right. And the other thing is too, don't sleep on the repair jobs, guys. No. A lot of companies don't want to touch repairs. It's not a big enough ticketed item and things like that. We're the total opposite because of what you just said, right? Not a lot of companies do it. We hear that all the time. You're the first contractor that even came out to my house, let alone take care of our repairs, because what you've done now is you've created a relationship with somebody. You are now the roofer dude in their phone. Right. Because everybody's got a plumber guy, the HVAC guy, what you're trying to do is we're not trying to sell you a roof. We just want to be your roofer. Yep. Right. So if any of your friends or families or you or somebody that and that's how referrals work. That's how that compounding referral network pipeline begins, is by just doing the work that nobody else wants to do. And putting that in, because I don't know how many times our phone is rang because of things like that. And we've done things like that for free too. We've gone out to jobs already and they're missing one tab or something, and it's just like, we just put a new shingle in there and they're like, how much? It's like, now we just give us a review here. Here's our website. Just give us a review. And that's what it's about. You got to put in the work, be a good human being, take care of the things that other people don't want to do. And you'll fill up a pipeline of, like you said, maybe not a $18.5 million pipeline, but you'll fill your pipeline up.
Like you said, free things. I carry a caulk gun in my truck all the time, and I go up and do a roof inspection. And if, let's say, the roof's in good shape, but the nails aren't caulked on the vents, I'll caulk the nails and I'll take some pictures, come back down and let them know, hey, just to let you know, your nail heads up there weren't caulked, but I caulked them up for you. Oh my God, that's really great. Do I owe you? No, you don't have to owe me. It's simple. Here's my card. I appreciate a review, blah, blah, blah. And little things like that. And they're like, man, I'll remember that. I'm like, I hope you do,
Yeah. So. Yeah. So give me some things that you would probably do different now that the smoke's cleared and the dust is settled and you're kind of coaching people up. After having some time to reflect on this, what would you do differently?
And as far as a career, or is it in that year?
Like, okay, so the storm hits, my phone rang for 3 months. How would you have handled it maybe differently, or maybe this is a better question. What did you learn along the way of such? Because obviously you haven't had year over year over year or year.
I've been consistently over 3, but nothing like that.
Yeah, exactly. So getting time to sit back and review all of this. 1, what have you learned? And 2, what would you have done differently if you get to do this all over again?
Well, something I would have done differently if I did all. I would probably say I would go out and try to hire a person to do just communications for me. You know what I mean? I tried that. It didn't work out. The person I hired was definitely not the right person to do it. I would interview and find that right person, because the actual job part of it wasn't difficult for me. The hard part was for the communication. And that's what I try to stress myself with homeowners is you want to keep that, good or bad. It's construction, right? We've all been there. There's going to be issues that arise. It's the communication that you need to perfect. And that is something that I would try to strive and do a little bit better at. And most of the homeowners I've talked to, I have, no negative reviews. I've talked to all of them and I've explained to them, at least I call them and say, hey, have patience. We're going to get it taken care of. And they understand. But the communication is one big thing. I would say another thing is, just the stress level of doing it is, I don't know if I'd ever want to touch 18 and a half again. You know what I mean? Just because I basically lost a year of my life because it was sun up to sundown, sometimes even not sun up, right, in the morning. And I missed a lot of things in my family's life, but they understood it. They got it. There's not, I mean, to be honest with you, there's more I'd change in a career than I would change in that year, because I think everything lined up pretty well that year where there's not a whole lot I would have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, career-wise, things I would have changed is when I wish I would have known now when I first started, is that whole saying I said earlier about investing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. So when I first started, I don't know if you know this, but when I first started, the guy that hired me was Jim Johnson. He was the guy that hired me way back when, 25 years ago, some football kid out of college that was working at Menards and Pizza Hut and was going to go be a school teacher for, my life. And Jim's like, hey, you'd be pretty good at this. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm not going to go knock doors. I'm not selling vacuums to anybody. I don't believe in that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, this is completely different. He goes, you're selling what people need, not a want. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he explained the business to me, and it's still, like everybody, it sounded too good to be true. Right. And I'm like, I don't know. Right. So I did it for a summer, did a great job during the summer. And what he didn't tell me, and this is kind of funny, is he didn't tell me that the abundance of jobs I signed up in the fall, we weren't going to build until the spring. So that's when the cap outs happened. Yeah, he didn't tell me that part until I realized, oh, okay, I get it. But what I should have done when I first started off is I should have educated myself more and invested more instead of taking the time. Because over time, I learned those things, but I could have learned those things a lot quicker if I would have just taken the time to read some books, to listen to people that were, knowledgeable in the industry and built that. And I didn't do that. I literally went up and worked, and I was, I challenged myself because I had that work ethic that I never wanted to be number 2 on the board. I always wanted to be number 1 on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that level, but I didn't have the level of just educating myself around. And in doing that, and then, you always believe, I listen to Tom Biglio, I think that's how you say his name. And the guy's a genius, man, the speaker. And I can't wait to hear him at RoofCon. It's going to be a blast. Have you ever heard him speak?
No, I haven't. I'm looking forward to that, though.
My gosh. I'm telling you what, man, he be front row if you can, because that guy's really good, to be honest with you. He's one of my favorite speakers that I've ever listened to. So
yeah, no, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So do you think this is why, you and your wife were doing the breakout at RoofCon, was because the whole work-life blend thing, because of the, that 2.5, 3 year period there where, it was just total chaos, I'm sure, at times.
Yeah, we're doing that to help out, couples in the industry. Cause we went and did, we had a short little snippet at Top Rep here a couple back. And my wife and I got up there, and she asked that question when we were sitting up there about how many people in this room of, what was there, let's say 200 people, 300 people, whatever. How many people in this room have issues back in their home life, about this job? And literally 75% of the people raised their hand, right? Because this is something that is not touched. This isn't, and she's right. It's like an elephant in the room, nobody wants to talk about it, but everybody's dealing with it, right? Until it comes out and people can actually talk about it. And, you listen to all these conferences, you listen to all these different people speak, but nobody touches that topic because, is it a forbidden topic? I don't know, but we're going to touch on that, and we're going to talk about that because, think about it. If you're a sales rep and you're having issues at home, your arguments at home, and you go out to sign and go knock doors for the day, how many people do you think you're going to sign up? Not very many, because your thoughts and your process going through your brain is back at home. It's not out there to go, hey, I'm a champion, let me go get 3 people signed up. It's, oh shit, my wife's pissed at me because I didn't take the trash out. I don't know, whatever, right? And those are issues that we deal with every single day as sales reps, as managers, as owners. Even owners. I used to own a company for 13 years. My wife and I set up an 8 o'clock deadline. We do not talk work after 8 o'clock. Because you don't want to go to bed pissed at each other. And next thing you know, you go off to work at 6:30 in the morning. She does her thing. And then that whole day, there's tension, and you're not giving 100% at what you're doing. And we all know it, and we all been there. And we all got that same situation. And if 80% of sales reps in a class of 200 people are raising their hands saying they got issues going on at home, mean, that's a topic that needs to be touched on. And so
Yeah.
that's why we're kind of bringing it out there and letting it get out to the forefront and putting people on notice about it, right? Let people say, hey, yeah, I've got that issue. Let's talk about it. What's a way we can get through this situation? And that's why we're doing that and kind of bringing that class up and doing different things to kind of touch on it, see if people want to, see if we can help that balance. So,
Yeah. No, it's a great topic. I think with it being such a masculine industry that we're in, us men don't like to talk about our feelings or that our home life is a mess and stuff like that. So it's a great topic. It's a great area to be vulnerable in. And I think that's the thing too. If you're creating an atmosphere, and you guys are going to be the trail guys and your wife are going to be the trailblazers of this, creating this space where it's like, it's okay because we all are experiencing this at one time or another in our careers where, and like you said too, especially when it comes to knocking doors, man, if your head's not right, it's all about mindset, right? If you got to go out there because you're going to get kicked in the nuts 10 times before somebody's going to let you up on the roof.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If you already had your nuts kicked in before you went to work, because of whatever the reason might be. I mean, it all starts here, right? It all starts at home, and it just has a reflection on our day to day in our work life and stuff like that. So I love that. You also touched on something real quick about, books that you read and working on yourself and wish that you would have done a little more, training, learning, skill set and stuff like that. What books would you recommend? What have you read? What podcasts are you listening to and stuff like that?
Well, I listen to a lot of, to be honest with you, I listen to Master Your Craft a lot with John.
Okay.
He knows a lot about the shingle world, the insurance end of it. We do a lot of insurance work where we're at. A little bit of retail, mostly insurance, but on how to get things approved. I pride myself on is, I'm good with sales. I'm good with all that, but I think I'm really, really good with insurance adjustments and things like that. I don't get sloped. I don't get spot repaired and things like that. And I think part of it is because of the knowledge that I brought. I went through Hague certification. I listened to, I love listening to Jim talk because that was my mentor, Johnson. He's the one who brought me in the business. And the guy's, he knows his stuff. I listen to Chuck Tokey a lot. As far as sales itself, I mean, I don't know if there's a better retail salesperson out there that you can listen to than Chuck. Jim knows his world in insurance, and right there you got insurance and retail that I listen a lot. And, I tease Jim nowadays. I said, hey, I'm 25 years in. I'd battle him a little insurance sales going out one-on-one, but yeah, he was my mentor. I mean, these are the different things I listen to. I mean, I love watching, who else was out there? I mean, I love listening to Reggie. Reggie was fabulous. The guy's an absolute guru in this business. There's so many different guys to listen to out there, but you got to be careful, because there's, as well as I do, there's on that other hand, there's a bunch of guys that are just blowing smoke and, want to get paid to listen to them talk, and they're not out in the trenches. They haven't been through it. And that's why I love listening to Deshaun, because you watch him, he's been out there. He knocks those doors. He understands. I went and did a thing for Sam Taggart down in Arizona for D2D. And I had an opportunity to take these guys out and door knock with a lot of the sales reps on there and kind of pass some of the knowledge I had on to them. And I mean, if you ever get an opportunity, new sales reps, if they're listening to this, if you ever get an opportunity to listen to one of these people speak or get that chance, or jump on class with myself, on gobeyondthehustle.com, you get a chance to do that, take advantage of it, because that's where you really learn. You learn that way. So
yeah, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, right. I mean, these conferences, I tell people all the time, I take $3,000 to $5,000 a year just to pay for tickets to go to some of these conferences. And the reason I do it isn't because I want to go there and hang out and have a great time. It's because I want to pick the brains of some of the people that I know. Hey, this guy knows what he's doing, and sit on these breakouts, because these breakout sessions I'm excited. I can't wait to listen to you brick by brick, right?
Yeah, brick by brick.
I'll be sitting in there. I can't wait to listen to that, because those are different things that if you could take 1, 2, 3 golden nuggets from anything you sit and listen to, write that down, take that back, and apply that to what you do, you're learning every single time,
Yeah.
And so
yeah, for sure.
That's
No,
I wish I would have done it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too, I guess, but it's never too late. That's the good thing. And, conferences have really opened my eyes too over the years. I think Jan and I's first conference was probably close to 10, 13 years ago. It was Wind the Storm, and loved it. It just had opened our eyes.
Which one you go to?
It was in Vegas.
Okay. My
Yep.
first one was Wind the Storm in Miami.
Okay.
So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. And it just opened our eyes. It made me feel like I wasn't alone in this anymore, first and foremost. And then secondly, the speakers, Scott, I can't think of his last name, but he owns Interstate Roofing. He was one of the speakers up there.
Rapioli, I think his name
Yes.
is.
Yes. Man, just opened my eyes.
Right.
And listening to him and a couple other great speakers were up there. I was like, man, okay, this is great. So then I caught the bug of like this journey that I went on to educate myself on being a better entrepreneur, a better roofer, a better salesperson, a better everything. And without those conferences, sometimes they are expensive, but don't just go there to party, to hang out. Like you mentioned, go there, ask questions, because the expo floor is probably where I've learned more than anything else in the conversations, the sidebar conversations that I had with other entrepreneurs, managers, leaders, salespeople, is where I've gotten most of the information that I know today, because they're open. These people are like open books. Like there's no threat of them being competition, or we're not even in the same time zone half the time, or zip codes, so these, at least for me, my experience going to these trade shows and stuff like that, people are open books. They want to, but again, you got to take what you need and leave the rest. Not everybody, not everybody is giving you good information. You got to kind of sift through the crap sometimes. But it's definitely changed our lives, Jan and I's lives, and the business, and it has improved not just the quality of our lives, but our business. It really has. Before we get off here, I kind of we're getting ready to come up on this hour here, and I know you're busy, but I got a question for you. It's a personal question that I think we could end this podcast with here, and it is what's one sentence you would like people to use in describing the way that you do business?
Let me think about that a second. One sentence to use. That's a good question. How I do business.
Yeah. What's one sentence that you want people to use to describe the way that you do business?
I would say that they could use, don't be afraid to give him a call. He's going to take care of you, either good or bad, but he's going to be honest and let you know that that no matter what the situation is, I'm going to be there. And in regards to, I can't tell you how many different times that I've gone up on roofs and told people they haven't had damage. Right. And people are like, well, you could probably get that one approved. I could probably do that, but I have that morality clause where it's, in doing right with that homeowner now, that homeowner is going to be my homeowner for the future. And, a lot of new sales reps, and this is something I talk to them a lot about when they go out, is I talk to these sales reps and I say, listen, I said, you're not making that customer for now, you're making that customer for life. Right. And if you're going to do right by that customer now, then you're going to do right by that customer for life. And by telling that customer that they've got, you're slammed with hail damage and you're looking at pea-sized dings on their vents, and having an adjuster come out and going through that whole process to just have it say, oh, no, not enough damage, you're denied. What you're doing is you're setting that up for failure. But if you let your homeowner know, listen, here's the scoop that we have. You got some dings on your vents, tiny. I would wait until another day. Here's my card. When another storm comes through, give me a call. That person's going to be your customer for life because you just built that relationship.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
They need to understand that. And that's something that I'm out there to teach and help these guys out with.
Right on. So Dan's going to take care of you today, and Dan will take care of you for life.
Yeah, I'm here.
There's your sentence.
There
I got one more question for you, man. What problem or defect have you been dealt, and how did you turn it into an asset? Kind of going back to when that kid got that 25-cent book back. It wasn't on photography. It was on about how to be a trends, whatever the heck, yeah.
Well, I can go. I'm going to go all the way back and kind of touch on a little bit earlier that I look back is I was dealt that hand to be a school teacher. I graduated college to be a school teacher, coach, physical education, and football coach. And I was pushed for 2 years from Jim to come do this business, and I would not do it. And I would not do it. I would not do it because I didn't believe in it. Right. So finally, that one day at the Copper Kettle, he'll know exactly if he ever listens to this. Copper Kettle, he sat down with my wife and I made that switch. You know, I bought that book, as you would say, as I bought that book, and I'm like, whatever, I'll give it a try for a month. And that changed my life forever. You know, I don't know where I'd be right now if it wasn't for Jim in that situation. I don't know where I'd be right now if it wasn't for my wife and family. And for those situations right there, that's why they're my why. So
yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. Yep. Turn lemons into lemonade.
Right.
And,
a school teacher into a roofing guy that sold $18.5 million. So who knows, right?
Yeah. Right.
That's the other thing you got to tell these guys too, is it's something I preach and I'll preach and I'll preach. There is no ceiling. And these guys that sit there and say, hey, there's a ceiling. I'm telling you, I'm a perfect example of there's no ceiling in this business. As long as you're willing to be consistent and you're willing to go out there and invest in yourself and educate yourself and build your knowledge and build those relationships and get that network out there, there is no ceiling in this business.
I love that. I love that, man. I love that so much. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for spreading your wealth of knowledge to me, myself personally, and everybody else that has been watching this far, and then anyone else that's going to catch this on the replay. For those of you out there listening, if you haven't liked, loved, shared, comment, go ahead, do that now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, Google Play, Apple, and of course our Facebook page, Behind the ToolBelt. So Dan, before we get off here, what's the easiest way to get hold of you? www.beyondthehustle.com.
Yep. I'd go to gobeyondthehustle.com, look it up. Jump on one of these classes, listen to it. I'm telling you guys, there's some great information on here that we're answering questions for reps every single time we're on here. So go to beyondthehustle.com. I've got a Facebook page. Like me on that. You know, if you want to send me a DM and ask questions, I'm happy to help people out. Have a YouTube, anything. I've got a YouTube channel. I mean, go beyondthehustle.com. If you plug that in, you're going to get us. And it's a good time. And I'll see you. As many people as possible at RoofCon. That'd be great. Come to the breakout session. Hope to see you there, Ty. It's going to be a good one. And I'm for sure coming to yours. So
no doubt. Yeah, I'll be there.
Heck yeah, I can. And like I said, pen us in. Tiffany and I will talk on your on here about this. It'll be good. We'll talk right after our breakout or something.
Done. You guys are in for sure. 100%. Yep. I can't wait to see you. Can't wait to meet Tiffany. You guys take care of each other. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for everybody for tuning in on your lunch break here on these Wednesday afternoon episodes of Behind the Tool Belt. Until then, sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite, and we'll see you next week.